Hello, my retro friends. Thanks for finding my channel, Mike the Retro Realtor.
Nice beaver.
Today we're gonna have a little fun. We're gonna talk about a movie that I grew up with. We're gonna dive into 1985's Lifeforce. The movie was directed by Tobe Hooper, who's known for Poltergeist and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
From the director of Poltergeist and the writer of Alien comes a terrifying new film.
The film stars Peter Riesbeck, Peter Firth, a young Patrick Stewart who still happens to look 65, and Mathilda May. We'll come back to her. And of course, this movie was produced by Cannon Films, and this has Cannon Films written all over it. Cannon Films, for those who do not know, they would do not quite A movies, but not quite B movies. They're kind of in between. Some of the movies that they did was Invasion USA, they did Bloodsport, they did Cobra. So, I mean, they did some, they were action movies, and they're pretty much over the top, but they're kind of lower budget. The movie we're talking about today, Lifeforce, actually had a budget of $25 million. Unfortunately, it did not do well in the theaters. Cannon was really betting heavy on this movie, and they really went all out, but it did poorly in the theaters. It only brought in $11.5 million against that budget, so it did pretty poorly. But because it's the 80s, the movie did have a second life on VHS, cable, and then later DVD. The movie did eventually make its money back, plus some. Unfortunately, Cannon is long gone. It closed shop back in about 89, 90, something like that. But it does have that Cannon look to it, and what I mean by that, it's kind of cheesy.
Cheese.
Well, let's start with the plot. It's not great. The plot is centered around the return of Halley's Comet, which in 1985, that was a big deal. I remember in elementary school talking about that. There's a space shuttle that goes up and finds another spaceship in the tip of Halley's Comet. So they go and explore it, and in there they find 3 dead and really good-looking humanoids. But they're all naked. They're in these little caskets, but they're crystal or see-through or something like that. They bring them back, and then eventually they make it back down to London. So as they're starting to experiment on these 3 humanoids, they break out and all hell breaks loose. And I'm going to leave it at that. So you got to watch the movie for the rest of the plot. I don't want to give anything away. Let me put it this way. It's not great, the plot. The writing is also not great. But if you're willing to disconnect the things that are going on and just kind of roll with it, it's actually a really fun movie. So let's talk about Mathilda May. So everyone remembers Space Girl. I mean, if you're my age, if you're in your late 40s, early 50s, you remember her just because she was naked throughout the entire film. She only has 7 minutes of screen time, but she is naked almost the entire time.
I like that.
I find this to be incredibly funny because there's absolutely no reason to be naked all the time. The other 2 guys were also naked, but they had a much smaller role, and we're not going to talk about that. The fact there's so much nudity in this movie is kind of fun. I'm watching the movie last night, and my wife walks in the room and is like, oh, she's quite naked. Her nakedness did kind of move the plot along because these are incredibly attractive vampires, and they're kind of seducing people along the way, and she definitely leaves nothing to the imagination. It was also something like, well, the plot gets a little thin. All right, throw in naked Mathilda May. The dialogue is pretty weak. Throw in naked Mathilda May. There's a break in the action. There's nothing going on. People are getting bored. Throw in naked Mathilda May. So that's kind of what they did with that movie. So they just kept throwing her in every now and then, which fine. This was actually Mathilda May's first movie, and she got the job largely because of all the hundreds of actresses that tried out for it. She was quite comfortable being naked throughout the entire film, and she was there most of the film, just on site being naked. So, whatever. Kudos to her for having that kind of confidence. I stopped doing that years ago.
That's disgusting.
So here's a couple pluses and minuses on the film. The film itself is almost nonsensical plot-wise. I mean, is it a horror movie? Is it sci-fi? Kind of goes all over the place. It's an erotic thriller. I mean, it's all over the place. Obviously, Mathilda was brought in every time things got a little boring, a little weird. Okay, there's a topless woman right there. Great.
I like that.
The writing was also pretty bad. I mean, the dialogue was kind of cheesy, It is what it is. Those are the big draws. On the plus side, $25 million is a big budget. It looked pretty good. It was an especially large budget for Cannon Films. The effects are all practical effects, and, they did a good job. So I'll give them that. The acting was actually all in all pretty good. Steve Riesbeck did a very good job carrying the film. All the other European actors did a nice job. Mathilda didn't really say a whole lot. She had like 3 lines. But to her credit, the audience really did appreciate her and the twins when they were on screen. Is it worth watching today? Well, yeah. If you want a timepiece from 1985 and you go in there knowing it's like kind of a cheese fest, yeah, it's worth watching. It's about 120 minutes, 110 minutes, depending on which cut you watch. If you can find the European cut, the extended cut, definitely watch that. But even the American cut, it's okay. You just got to go in there with the right mindset. This is not something that you really got to pay close attention to. So yeah, if you want a nice timepiece from 1985 and you're willing to watch kind of a crappy movie, but with good intentions, I guess is the best way to phrase it, you can enjoy yourself with the right mindset. So, definitely check check it out. If you want to find it, you can buy a DVD for $15 to $20 on eBay, or you could go on Tubi, and this is the most Tubi-like movie you could ever find. Definitely check it out there. Yeah, you got a couple commercials, but it's not edited, so it's certainly worth watching there. So it is a little bit of a cult following. I mean, IMDb gave it a 6.2, which is mediocre at best. And also, if you go to Rotten Tomatoes, it's a 58 critics and 46 for the audience score. It's worth watching. It's not something I pick up often, but if you want to shut your mind off and just watch a cheesy movie for 2 hours, the effects, like I said, do look good. And of course, there's Mathilda and the twins. It's worth watching at least once, if nothing else, because it's such a timepiece from 1985. That being said, keep it retro, my friends, and we'll talk to you later.